Welcome to Stay Sparked. On this show, we explore how to stay inspired in the modern world to the most profound lessons from Burning Man, psychedelics, relationships, entrepreneurship, spirituality, travel, and more. On today's episode, we talk about traveling tips, traveling reasons, and specifically how Burning Man has impacted our ways of seeing ourselves as travelers in the world.
We talk about different ways that we can spark joy on our own travels, whether that's to Burning Man or internationally.
We also talk about opportunities, recognizing opportunities and creating opportunities to be a positive influence wherever you might find yourself in the world.
Enjoy the episode. Thank you, Dub Sutra, for that amazing intro song. Welcome to Stay Sparked. I'm Betsy.
I'm Halcyon.
And I am Janus.
And together we are here sharing conversations to spark some inspiration for you guys. So I am the founder of the Power Affirmation Project, which teaches sustainable skills for happiness using a journal and virtual programs. I'm also a healer and practitioner of intuitive energy healing.
I am the host of the Hug Nation YouTube channel and also lead gratitude circles every day in Zoom.
And I am the CEO and founder of NuWorld Nutritionals, a nutritional supplement company that's geared to improve people's state of mind, including all things brain health oriented, improving focus, mood, and memory.
So we always love starting with gratitude. So Halcyon, will you start us off? What are you grateful for today?
I am grateful for a Secret Santa gift exchange that we had with my gratitude circle community, which is open. It's radically inclusive. Anybody can join anytime, but there's a lot of people that have been regulars for the last 3 years. And so we had a Secret Santa from people all around the world. We got mailed our gifts, and the most joyful, tear-inducing one was a gentleman, Sean. He wrote a song called Burner Baby for Aviv in Israel, who's got an 8-month belly for her child coming, and then invited another woman with her infant to come listen to this song. And it was just this worldwide community listening to an original song as these babies were dancing and a pregnant belly was being rubbed. It was pretty magic.
So sweet.
That's
Janus, what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful for the opportunity to have been of service to a friend of mine who was in the midst of a move, and it was a pretty daunting endeavor. And she's one of those types who is like, get her done. Like, she can definitely do it like herself. But she would have and did benefit from the assistance. And I was able to impromptu, like very suddenly, like, oh, I guess I'm doing this today, or for the next couple of days, like really help with that. And it felt good, like coming home from that after a couple of days was like, for me, it just feels good to be of service. And it'd been a while since I've been able to dive in and be of service like that with somebody that I deeply care about. So that was good. And I'm grateful for the opportunity.
How about you?
I will share my gratitude for my friend Erin, who I was so blessed to know before she passed. She passed this weekend, and she and I were friends when I think we were about 12 when we first met, and we were friends all through middle school and high school. And she's been battling brain cancer for the last 4 years. And she departed this past weekend. And so I'm very grateful for her influence on my life. And I'm very grateful that she was able to really hold on for as long as she did. And really also amazed at the ripple of love that is coming from so many people's posts about her. And it's really bringing the years back. You know, my high school friends and many friends that I haven't talked to in many years are now engaging. We're all sharing pictures from our past and her beautiful influence on all of our lives. And she was truly such a light. And so I'm really grateful for her in my life, and grateful that she is free of her pain, and grateful that I knew her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Blessings to Erin on her continuing journey.
That's right.
And thank you for you receiving her ripples and then you continuing them as you spread that energy in the world.
Thank you. All right, so today we want to explore a conversation around travel. So, one of the inspirations for this podcast is that three of us, friends for many years, over a decade at least, we have all been to Burning Man. And Burning Man has taught us so much, and it's quite a journey to get there. And so, we wanted to spark a conversation around how traveling to Burning Man has influenced our lives in many different ways. So I'd love to check in with you, Halcyon, probably the longest burner here. What have you been, 24 years?
24.
Awesome.
What? Yes. We had wagons. Our first year we had to go in covered wagons.
Yeah.
And I think, as you're talking, I wanted to just put into the conversation that, we're talking about Burning Man, and there's going to be some specific Burning Man things about this, but I think it will apply to travel in general and the headspaces around journeying through your life. And that is, I think, kind of one of the big takeaways or lasting impacts for me of Burning Man is that the whole life is a journey is so powerfully driven home when you go to Burning Man. Like I often tell people, like the minute you decide you're going, Burning Man started. And I think that's a really good way to think about any travel and, even into your life. It's not when you get too focused on the planning and the preparation as the obstacle that you've got to get through before you get to the destination, it changes the whole experience. Whereas if you feel like this whole thing is the journey, I think then you start to notice things along the way that are exciting. And you notice that the person at the gas station is pretty interesting looking, and you might say hi or look him in the eye, and suddenly you have an interaction at the gas station that turns into really a highlight of the trip. But you can't get to those magic interactions until you start seeing the journey, the whole journey as the adventure.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that really one of the first things I learned from my experiences at Burning Man was like going the first time. The event, that event lasts for a week, technically, officially, as far as going to attend. It goes from Monday to Monday. And my first year, I got there like on Tuesday and wrote out the event. It was fine. The following year, I actually went early to help set up, and so I was there like the Wednesday before. Completely different experience to really like drop in, because it takes a couple days wherever you go someplace new, especially someplace extreme like that. It takes a couple days to like really settle in and kind of get your bearings, and going for that extended length of time kind of maybe help me realize that's like, wow, if you're here longer, you get to really drop in and really feel the place and experience the place. And I had the download to be like, that's probably a good technique for most places to visit. It's cool to go to a foreign country for like, 5 days or a week or something. But really, if you can get there for a couple of weeks, drop in and really just be there, start to become a familiar face to some of the locals, and it completely changes your experience. So that's one of my first things I learned from that was that be there, be in the place, and stay in that place as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do that with traveling too. I learned my lesson. I'm trying to go to different countries for like 4 days, 5 days. It's just not, you can't really drop in. The longer, the better if you can. I also really want to echo what you said, Halcyon, around as soon as you say yes to the experience, then the experience begins, whether that is Burning Man or a creative project or a trip somewhere. It is like, I feel like it's an initiation in a way, right? It's like, okay, that first level of commitment is set, and now I get to be inspired by all the things that come along. And so I know for me, the first time I went to Burning Man was in 2007. And I was brought there by an amazing human. Many of you guys probably know Kiwi. He was the doorway for me to go to my first Burning Man experience. And he really helped me a lot to see the way. And I was so naive around packing. And I just like filled up bags and bags and bags of stuff with no order or anything. I just got like swept up in the creativity, and I probably didn't have all the things that I actually needed, but I had plenty of costumes. But over the years, I got a chance to really learn that the preparation process is so much more than just making costumes, but it's also like thinking about all the different elements and thinking about all the different scenarios that can happen, and then sort of compartmentalizing my process into a more organized flow. And then this last year was the 8th time that I had gone, which was over yeah, I guess it was like 12 years later or so. And I felt like, wow, I have so much more systems in my ability now. Like, wow, okay, I know actually not to just focus on the creative part, not to just focus on the survival, but to find a balance in the ways that I'm preparing for this experience. And that I think goes into so many different areas of life, right? If I'm starting a creative project, and it's important for me to be mindful on how I'm balancing my time in that process as well, and staying organized in the process.
Oh my gosh, there's so much juicy stuff in what you both have said. I'm like, oh yes, oh. I want to go back to what you said, Janus, about going early. And there's something that I think is significant when you get an opportunity to go early, or even an opportunity to help with a theme camp or an art project in advance. There is a massive difference when you are participating at Burning Man, if you feel like you have contributed to the creation of this magical city. Visiting the coolest party in the world is great. Knowing that you helped throw the coolest party in the world, and I'll say not party, the coolest city, the coolest experience on our planet, but knowing that you played a part in it is such a different experience. You start to feel ownership. You start to feel the magnified joy of all the people enjoying this thing. And then I think you have a closer loyalty to the 10 principles as well, because you are one of the creators of this place. And I think that you can apply that to all travel by kind of slipping out of tourist mode and think, is there a way that you can help your hosts? Is there a way that they are doing something in their city, in their regular day-to-day life, that you can help out with? Or because then you start to have that feeling of like, I am not a spectator, I'm a participant, which is one of the core things that's been on the Burning Man tickets even before there was principles, is participants only, no spectators. And taking that into the world, I think changes everything. It changes your experience in your hometown. You can start to just see the things and people differently. I actually, early on in my Burning Man years, had probably in 2001, went with a crew of people to Amsterdam, and we all brought like a dozen pairs of fur pants, and we would go on these fur pants and fur outfits journeys out into the streets of Amsterdam with this idea that we're not tourists, we're a visiting theme camp, and we're here to experience you, and you're here to experience us. And it made the whole thing so much more magical. And I mean, I have to assume, well, I will hope and guess that the people we encountered got as much a treat from us as we did from them.
Yeah, I feel that's what you're speaking about is what you're speaking to is the idea of contributing to a space, not just like really in having this approach to wherever you go really does change your experience. It's like not just like I'm going to Paris to see this artwork. I'm going to Italy to eat the food. And instead of it's a subtle shift of the idea that I'm going to someplace to get something. It's fine to get something, and I'm also going to offer something. What is it I have that I can offer these people, or I can offer to this place? That can turn into something like doing a beach cleanup in Bali, for example, or finding out what these places need ahead of time, perhaps, or even while you're there, and then doing what you can to offer that, to be of assistance in some way, to these volunteer trips where people go to like build homes and such. I have a friend who's done a lot of travel of all kinds for several decades, and says that his favorite trips are the ones where he busts his butt to like help out in the local communities, like building schools, doing road grading, things like that, and really like going to offer something, because you have a whole different experience. You meet locals on a whole different level, and those can often be the most rewarding experiences that you get when you go out and travel in the world.
Absolutely. Being in service. Yes, Burning Man definitely teaches that the contribution and service and being a part of something, it just fills the soul, right? To be on purpose, it fuels us, right? And something that you shared, Janus, really made me remember a phrase that came to me went right before I traveled about a year and a half ago. I went to Asheville and I went there for what was supposed to be 3 months that turned into 9 months. And the question that I was asking myself is, what is the medicine that I have to share with this community? And what is the medicine that they have to share with me? And I was feeling a deep soul calling to go. And that question really helped me to stay in that place of curiosity of what is my contribution and why am I being called there? And it felt really nice to be able to be in that question and allow what needed to come through. I didn't need to like force my way into, service, or like I didn't go there to build a house or to like, participate in our existing project, but I got a chance to really see how my service can make a positive difference in some people's lives, just one person at a time or small communities at a time. And over that 9 months, I really got to see how it was mutually supportive. And I love that that Burning Man, like subtly, but not so subtly, has really impacted the way that I choose to share my light with the world, and coming from a place of service and contribution. And how can I make this place even better than when I found it? Or how can I serve and share my art, share my joy, and share my insights with the people that I'm getting to go see, and then also to receive theirs.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so sparked listening to you talk about that. And it really is getting me re-excited about the impact of the principles. And specifically, I think of gifting when I think about what you're talking about. When you just to tune into what your gifts are and how you can share them with the world, it's such a different or an evolved concept of gifting than maybe when you first go to Burning Man and you bring some trinkets or bracelets to give away. And then you start to tune into, I am the gift, or as you said, I'm the medicine. And I should say, in my T-shirt store, I do have shirts that say, "You are the medicine the world needs." But yes, and we can, and that's how we can be in that mode on a day-by-day basis. I try to start my day by saying, like, how can I look for the opportunities to connect and be kind? And then when you have your head on a swivel in that kind of gifting mentality, then you do see the opportunity of somebody who needs a little bit more help or needs a little bit more of what you've got. And I think that when you find the opportunities to put your medicine into the place that and it heals something, that's it. That's your purpose. There, done. Keep doing that, and everything is perfect.
Yes, and I just want to say it might just be a smile.
Yes.
Sometimes it might just be as simple as a smile. We don't have to force our gifts or force to look for what is the thing, right? It can be so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
it's the same with on play. I mean, you can give a compliment that can totally change someone's day. You can offer to hold down a tarp that's flapping. You can do that on a moment by moment basis. You don't have to, be constantly going, I need to sacrifice and be of service, but just like looking when the
Paying
opportunities
attention.
arrive, you walk through the door.
Yeah, pay attention. And you can also do that in airports, not
Ooh.
just on the playa, right? Like smiling at strangers or giving a compliment to someone, or like offering to lend a hand, especially to what I like to pay attention to in airports is parents that have like two or more kids that are trying to, rush through the airport. Just offering a little moment of like support, it can make such a world of difference.
That's a tough one for me. Like, hey, you want me to play with your kid for a while?
Not like that, but like maybe like holding the space for them, or like being able to like acknowledge that they're holding it down. Like, I see you, mama. Look at you, strong woman.
You're a lot more trustworthy looking than me as
Yeah.
well. So yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Here's a good one for the airport being a service thing. Bring a power strip with you.
Yes.
Plug that in, and you will be surprised. Like, people will be like, "Yes, and they will come and plug in all their devices. And because people, those are always like a hot commodity. Like so many, all of us have experienced like going into walking around the gate looking for an open outlet. Those things get filled pretty quickly. I've seen it done a couple times, and it's been super appreciative.
That's amazing.
That's
I'm
a
totally
great
doing that. Yeah, I'm totally doing that.
That's a very, Burning Man gifting type mentality.
Yes.
Look for the cracks. Where is there a place that you could make experiences better for other people? And that's a perfect example. Thank you for that. Awesome.
Here's one that I like to do too. So I like to, when I get on the plane, I usually tend to get on last. And so the plane is already filled.
Yeah, same.
And you know that kind of feeling when you're walking down the aisle and everyone's just, their eyes are sort of going all around and they're usually looking at the people down the aisle. That's a perfect moment to just smile. Just have a huge smile on, make some eye contact from time to time or not. I usually put on headphones and put on a song, like an extra, like juicy, happy inducing song in my headphones, and like just beam joy as I walk down the aisle, and just let that be like a little through the plane.
It's like a little catwalk or a little art gallery showing of you as art, and to spread your vibe. I love especially if I'm feeling like powerful. I love to dress burnery, not like fur boot covers, but like bold colors, bold pink hair, and shine that smile. Because like we're captive audience here, and I mean, maybe there's kind of you can't expect that everyone on the plane is going to be burner familiar, and so I kind of love the reactions as I walk by, and some people I can tell like that guy must be in a band, or are we safe in this plane? But it is fun.
I wear black every time I travel, all black. I try and just like tone it way down, way down, but then still beam joy.
Yeah, there was one time I had a early morning flight, and this was going to be after like flying into a town and being up all night. And I brought an outfit expressly for the flight back that was going to be 7 a.m. It was fur, and it had like these big like diamond shaped lenses on the sunglasses. And I just rolled in there like a rock star, and like the security were looking at me funny, and I just walked in there, and just to give people the experience, and also to kind of keep me like kind of going after being up all day and all night. That was a fun, like just hour-long flight from San Francisco back to LA, and that was fun. And I definitely made a few people's like mornings. I definitely woke up a few people when I walked into the plane and through the airport. So it's a good tip. So I do tend to skew more towards Betsy. Like I just want comfort. I just want to be comfortable and nonchalant and chill. Every now and again, I get fired up and furry, and that's a lot of fun.
I've actually met a lot of people in the airports because of their dress. A really funny thing that has happened on many of my travels is I call it the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Right? I think that's a book. Right?
It's a book, yeah.
But it's a real thing, because I've been out at airports and I see cool pants on somebody, and I'm like, I think I know that designer. Like, I think those are Liam design pants. And then I like check out the person. And then the most recent experience, this has happened multiple times, but most recently I saw a girl, she was wearing designer pants that I knew. I waited for the moment. I approached her and I was like, hey, are those Liam pants? She's like, yes, they are actually. And it turns out she was coming to Asheville. That's where we were both flying to. And she was looking for some hiking trails and some friendship while she was out there. And we ended up getting to go on a hike together while we were there because of her pants. And multiple times at different airports, I've had people come up to me, say like, oh, I noticed your shirts or your pants. Like, oh, I love your bell bottoms. Like, then it just elicits this really cool conversation and deepening of friendships. I've actually met people in airports that I've stayed friends with over the years, usually through clothing.
And that's a very, for me, a Burning Man influenced behavior of wearing things that I know will attract people and attract certain conversations, invite people in, and also reaching out and giving people compliments based on things. And I too have, I almost every time I'm in an airport, somebody will say something about my hair. And if they're open, I start a conversation, and I always carry stickers with me to give away. So I'm giving a sticker, and then we're having a conversation. And so, yeah, I think that we get kind of trained that there are certain places where you put your head down and stick to yourself, like elevators. I still think elevators are a good place to keep to yourself. But in an airplane or an
Airport.
airport, yes, it's good to use the right words. Uh, in an airport, there's people that are killing so much time that kind of breaking out and demonstrating that you're allowed to connect, which is that one of those Burning Man lessons. Like, wait a minute, most of us are hungry for connection in some way, and if you have a way to kind of filter people, like a moat, like no one is going to come up to me and say, "Hey, nice hair," if they don't want to have a deeper connection, And if you say, "Oh, are those pants?" you can tell instantly with their response if they're open to more connection, and just kind of play that, having some physical thing to aid those connections is really helpful. And also, again, like I carry stickers with me, something I can give away to people that deepens that. And that's another Burning Man influence thing. I love being able to give a gift to somebody that I just met that is open to connection.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really gonna stick with them.
Betsy. Yeah. That is one of the many things that Burning Man has inspired within me, is to recognize an opportunity for connection. And sometimes you can create that opportunity as well, just being aware and finding that point of connection, like Betsy is saying, with like I know who designed those pants. Yeah, just to be like, hey, are those Leoms or those Melodias or whatever? Or the bro version of that is to, like, when somebody's wearing a sports team, paraphernalia, a cap or jacket, is like, hey, so how do you feel about your team? Oh gosh, da, da, da. And then it turns into a whole conversation. And it's funny because I did that once with a guy who, I'm going to make the assumption, doesn't have a lot of friends who look like me, but he had a sports team thing on, and I happened just to know, like, they had a really good game like that week. So as just an experiment, this little social experiment, I asked him about his team, and he just kind of looked at me, but it's just a momentary kind of thing, and he got into it. And so we're having this conversation, and I could kind of feel that this was a new thing for him, a new sort of person that he doesn't normally engage with, but he was into it, and he really kind of gave me an eye afterwards, and was like, it's good to talk to you. I'm like, all right, fantastic. So finding those points of connection and opportunities, it can be really enriching.
I love that so much. And I will actually just share how this is like a major spark that Burning Man has done for me, and that I really care about bringing out into the world. And you're speaking to it directly, is that at Burning Man, when we travel there, the veil gets thinner and thinner and thinner on the journey. Like you spoke to, Halcyon, like, you say yes, and then you start to process, and you're on the way, and then you like see the gas station attendant, and there seems to be a little bit less of a barrier between you, right? It's not so much separation. Oh, we can actually have heart to heart or eye contact. And then when you get on the playa, it's really easy to talk to quote unquote strangers, because we're not strangers anymore. We all went on this journey to get to this place, and there's a place where that we can connect. Right. And so what you're speaking to, Janus, is like breaking that barrier of, the separation of like, oh, you sit over there, I'm going to sit over here. I'm me, you're you. We don't have anything in common. Just to have an easeful interaction that nobody introduced you. You didn't have to go through the small talk to get to the content, right? You just went right into it. Like, how do you feel about your team? It's like, oh, right. Oh, I guess I can just share what's on my mind about that. At Burning Man, I love this experience of getting to just go right up to people and be like, wow, what do you think about that art piece? Or like, wow, did you make your outfit? Or like, hey, you want to hear a really good joke? it's just like so easy to bridge those conversations. And like I try and do that when I'm on my travels or at the grocery store or different places to be able to help to just create easeful connectivity and soften the edges that sometimes we carry in this world of 7 billion people more or more.
Yeah, that's I do want to acknowledge that at Burning Man, it is so very easy to have those connections, and the recipient of any contact is almost always going to be positive and receive you well. And so, a place like Burning Man, or a place that has community that supports one another, is a great place to practice. I call it like a scrimmage. Like you get to really build up your skills on approaching people and talking to strangers in a safe space. And then you go into the default world, and you can't have the same certainty that the person that you say, I love your pants, is going to react with always in a positive way. And I think that we probably all have the experience of a stranger giving us a look that shuts you down, and you're like, whoa, that did not feel good. Like I'll be more careful, or I find it like, okay, I'll put my head down. I'm not gonna. And so I think a part of this conversation is remembering that there's a real responsibility, I think, and that when you have experienced that kind of interactions and you know how it feels to be that kind of person, then you got to risk it, and you got to put it out there, and you got to try to be a person that shows everyone out there that doesn't know, yes, you can be friendly all the time. Yes, it feels good to reach out a connection and hold out that olive branch. And because when people connect to it, they're so grateful, they're so hungry, they know nothing. The number of people that want to connect like burners do, that will never go to Burning Man and have no interest in Burning Man, it's massive. I try to remind people, I do a morning broadcast every morning where I try to remind myself, hey, say hi to people, smile, be kind, avoid the tendency to put your head down, even if somebody looks back at you and gives you a funny look, because it is dramatic when you get reminded and you feel like we're not alone. I tell people, like, if you do the math, even if a teeny tiny percentage of people out there are holding their hand out, hoping somebody connects to them, that's hundreds of millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think what the Burning Man experience gives us a taste of what is possible, and then we have a responsibility to try to be that in the world.
Yes, and use discernment. Yeah, that's what you're speaking to. That's what I hear, right? As our responsibility to use discernment in the quote unquote default world, right? And how we're sharing our energy and where we're sharing it, especially I know personally as a woman, to be really friendly and kind and extend. It's really important to be mindful around that. So, some people might take things the wrong way, and you got to be, aware of who you're sharing your energy with and how. Right. So I think it is a really good point that you're making there. And then also, I feel like just that what you're speaking to is there's so many people out there that are very lonely. Like I talked to some older people that say that, they live alone, and their interactions with people is going to the grocery store. Maybe they'll have a conversation with someone at the grocery store. Maybe they'll have a few moments of eye contact at the grocery store, and that's it. And then they go home and they're home by themselves. I have some clients like that. I've had some family members that have shared that with me. And so it is really powerful to share those kinds of kindness, and it could really make a positive difference. One of the things, I'm going to share one of my other little uh, joy instigations, or like with smiles on my travels. So I have kind of created this practice. It's kind of silly, but kind of fun. Maybe it's fun to you guys. So when I turn left at a red light, usually there's a person there sitting, waiting to go straight, right? Or turn again, right? And so your driver's side crosses over somebody else's driver's side, right? So it's likely that you're going to face that person. So I have a tendency to be turning left at the red light, and I either smile at the person sitting there, or I just wave. Because there's no way they're going to be able to turn around in that moment and come chase me or anything. And they just have this random person smiling and waving at them. And
Love
then,
it.
oh, okay, spark. Just had to
funny.
share that little fun, playful thing.
That's fantastic. And I think you can't underestimate like the power of a little jolt, a little spark, even a smile that somebody goes by, a friendly word that wasn't mandatory or necessary. I mean, there's, when I have a connection with somebody that I'm walking in a park and there's a pause that I didn't expect with a stranger, like that becomes one of the highlights of my day. It's just like, oh, there's something really magic about that. And traveling is, one of those places where, that's kind of, traveling is for seeing places but it's also for interacting with fellow humans and being an ambassador, being the medicine and spreading and those connections.
Yeah. One of the things that people, and I think a lot of people realize this, that it's a good reminder still that the people make the place. Burning Man, the playa would be pretty fantastic, but the reason it's fantastic is because of the people who were there and doing what they do. That's true for a lot of places. Any place that you go to. The reason that I love almost any place, but the one that came to mind is Peru. The people there are amazing and so welcoming, so giving, so happy to see you, by and large. So that really, I was there to see Machu Picchu. I was there to like really dive in the jungle. But even that jungle experience, was the people who lived there in the jungle, who were hosting us and facilitating everything, were such kind, loving people that was the takeaway from the place. So being one of those people for some, out in the world is its own reward and is rewarding on several levels. So really, again, it goes back to looking for those opportunities to, give a smile as you're driving by, wave by, and wave, and just be a positive moment in somebody's day is really pretty key.
My experience has been that around the world, people are far more friendlier than you would expect. That compared to your average U.S. interaction. And in fact, I think that it's really important to remember that the people in a country can be very different than the reputation of a country. And sometimes we label places as aggressive places or conflict or dangerous, and those are these huge broad terms that the individuals do not necessarily have anything to do with. In fact, so I do a weekly broadcast called Hug Nation, and it was prompted by after 9/11, when we were starting to talk about how there are these warlike countries out there that we need to deal with. And my feeling of traveling the world was that, the people of the world would far rather hug you than hurt you. And if you can remember that, and in an internet connected world, we have a far greater ability than we ever have to actually see and hear from the people of the world. We don't have to depend on some generalization or some, media labeling of things. And travel is what allows us to really go, oh, if you've traveled internationally, you're probably another country. You're the reason why they don't think America is terrible.
Yeah, this is true.
It's true. I know I've traveled internationally and have been met with the initial like, oh, you're from America.
Yeah.
But then once the connection then gets built, it's like, oh, okay, not everybody is associated to the politics of that country. Like, oh, wow, there is actually kind heart, love in that place. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to represent.
Yeah. I found myself in a position like that in Europe one time, where people were like, oh, America, da da da. They really kind of went in on me, kind of, but just in general on America. And I felt like I could have easily, because some of what they were saying I kind of agreed with, but I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to be the change you want to see in the world, and also to give them an example, which is, I'm not always up for that conversation, but I actually kind of leaned into it, kind of threw myself into it, and turned into a good conversation with these guys who were open, ultimately, to being like, okay, so yeah, you're right, you're a good example, or yes, there are, America is not, the United States is not all one thing. And just a reminder, because nothing is ever all one thing, group of people, a gender, a country, what have you. So it was a good opportunity again to lean into that and be a good example.
Love that. Thank you for doing that.
Do what I can.
Yeah.
Do what I can.
I feel like there's been something really powerful in my traveling experience, and I feel so grateful to have been able to travel quite a bit in my life. And one of the things that I have really learned about in my travels is that it really provides perspective. And of course, Burning Man really teaches and trains how to shift our perspectives, but traveling in general really gets us out of the day-to-day norm. And I feel like it gives me this opportunity to pull up outside of my life and look at things from a bird's eye view and to just be able to see from a much wider viewpoint of all of the things that I have going on. It puts things in perspective around like really how privileged I feel I am at times, traveling to different third world countries or just where there is a totally different way of life. It really brings me into deep reflection of my life and who I am and who I want to be. And it's such a gift. I feel like I can feel it if I don't travel. Like if I'm at home for long periods of time, I can feel that like need to travel, and it feels like it's because of that perspective shift that is so valuable to have.
Yeah, that's similar with the Burning Man and travel. Both of those, the environments are so different than your normal day to day. Not just the physical attributes of, the playa floor or the curbs are a different height in another country. When you have to pay attention to things that you normally don't, it just totally changes your brain, and you start to the baselines of life you evaporate, and you just become way more aware of everything. I think that really is healthy for the way we think and see ourselves in the world.
Yeah, travel spurs that, and having that fostered, once you get back home, that's a good perspective to hold in your day-to-day life, like really, being able to see the overarching, environment around you and paying attention the ways because you have to pay there's a level of attention you have to pay when you're traveling, when you're away from home, that if you can bring that back with you, and so your attention is heightened when you're home, you're going to experience just your home in a much different way, a much more expanded way, and being able to see things differently. That's why we travel, is to expand our world. But in expanding your world, you are also expanding your local home environment as well, your neighborhood as well. So it's valuable.
I've got one like powerful Burning Man lesson that used to be a lesson from traveling, but is no longer, which is being disconnected from the internet, and being disconnected from technology. When I was in college and traveling through Turkey for 2 months, I had no phone. I talked to my family at the beginning, and then I talked to them 2 months later to tell them when I was going to land my flight, but I was totally disconnected. When I got to a bus station and was waiting for the next bus that was in 4 hours, I couldn't go play a game on my phone or browse the net. I read, and I went to the local tea house and I talked to people. And that's how Burning Man experience is. You don't escape into a device to kill time or feed an addiction. You are present. And it hurts my heart sometimes to think about that. The modern day traveling doesn't have that so much, that we really have to carve out these experiences of being present and allowing ourselves to get bored. Then you get curious, and then you have the courage to walk down a street that you might not have gone down. And it's similar to the thing about Burning Man is I'm so dependent on my GPS on my phone in the default world that I don't get lost. But at Burning Man, I'm meandering and I'm wandering and I'm just kind of going, this feels like a cool place to go. And I think traveling is a time when you can do that too, is go, oh, there's some music coming down from this place down here, and just get more in the instinct of allowing and being in the flow. And but we have to really make the effort to do it when we're not at Burning Man or in the middle of nowhere.
Totally. And also, to be able to be in your own town, let yourself get lost in your own town, right? We live in a beautiful city, San Diego, and people come from all over to come visit here, right? And how often do I go be a tourist? Very rare. Recently, I got to though, because I was going to be flying out and my flight got delayed and delayed and delayed. And then eventually they were like, it's not going to be taking off till tomorrow. It was already like 4 o'clock. And so I decided, well, I'm just going to be a tourist in downtown San Diego. And I just imagined I was from out of town and I walked around the city with my bag and I went to, Naked Cafe or Cafe Gratitude. And I really got to experience the city from that place of exploration and curiosity and what I'm going to find and what murals am I going to see and what little signs am I going to see and what types of who are these people that live here, right? And then I also got to do what you're talking about, Halcyon, is that meandering exploration, staying curious in Paris with my previous partner. We went for 3 weeks and we actually talked about it as if it was the playa, and we imagined that the Eiffel Tower was the man. And we just got lost in that city and just stayed in that place of openness and what are we going to find next and how can I, just continue to orient myself to this new landscape and let myself be inspired. And it really does open up this whole other way of seeing life. And then when we come back home, there's more expansive viewpoints and creative thinking and yeah, ways to be able to do life in a different way.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, both of what you guys are saying reminds me of the idea. I believe it's called flash packing, and I did meet somebody abroad who was doing this, where you go to a place and all you have is, and it requires, granted, it requires a little bit of money to be able to pull this off, but you go to a place and all you have is your barest essentials, like your laptop, your phone, and maybe that's it, like the clothes on your back. But the idea is you land at a place and then you have to go get all the stuff that you need. I need toothpaste, I need a toothbrush, I need a couple pairs of underwear, I got to do all this stuff. So you actually have to go out into the place you're in and find these things, and it opens up the experience of a place, a city, or a country in a way that you might not otherwise get. And so you're going to start meeting people. And I've had friends who do this, and then, oh, I met the shopkeeper, he was great, and I ended up at dinner at this guy's house, and an experience you never would have had you not had to go get toothpaste for yourself or something like that. So whatever you can create an idea of, whatever gets me out into the world, but out into the city among the people, it's a good idea.
I
Flash
love that.
packing.
I love
Woo!
that. One of the coolest experiences I had in Bali was when my partner absolutely needed a hair dryer, and it was not something that was available in very many places. But my host, took me on his motorbike here to there to there to here to there. It was a super fun adventure. That sounds like I could be creating that adventure all the time by Flash. I love that idea. Thanks.
Flash packing. That's cool. I love that there's a name for that. Amazing, you guys. Well, I love this conversation. There's so many different sparks and love to close it out. What are some of your big takeaways from this conversation? What are the big sparks on this traveling conversation?
I think the thing that's getting me most excited is just that reminder that travel can be this gifting opportunity for us to tune into our gifts and what we have to share with the world. I mean, the thing that lights me up so much about Burning Man is that process, and then how Burning Man changes lives, and certainly my life is trying to figure out how can I do that in the world. And so thinking of travel that way, and thinking of ourselves as theme camp participants in our hometowns and in the world, I think that's what I'm most excited about right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, the thing I'm reminded of is I need to get back out and travel.
Yes.
I haven't done that in a while. Not for any extended length of time. Took a little tropical vacation last year before. So I'm definitely due for some experiences out in the world. I need to meet some new people. I need to meet some people who don't speak my language, and Yeah. And it's an opportunity to be an ambassador to the world, not just your, your country where you live, but just really, it's an opportunity. Travel is an opportunity to be just a positive influence, a positive spark out in the world, that just any opportunity you have to give somebody a good experience or a positive experience is an opportunity worth taking. So, and travel's great for that. So that's what I'm getting out of this, a reminder to get out in the world, to be that spark.
Yes, I'll echo that. Me too. I feel like this conversation is just reminding me that we can leave a trail of light wherever we go. On our travels, a simple smile or eye contact or just a little gesture of kindness out in the world can really make a difference and can create a ripple effect of more kindness in the world. And if we each do our part to do that, then we raise the vibration of the planet. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's so simple. It can be so simple. And then I'll actually just share one of the big sparks that we didn't really touch on, but maybe we'll close it up with, is an affirmation that has been really fueling much of my travels. So I created a full downloadable affirmation called Traveling with Ease. And it really is created with the specific intention to get the mindset in a more positive, uplifted space. So that way, when we're traveling, the worry voice starts to quiet. And so we'll share a little clip of that here. And you guys can find that on my YouTube channel and also on Insight Timer.
Yay.
So staying in the affirmations as we flow through the world.
Oh, one more spark I want to share, which is that in addition to all these things that we talked about when we are traveling, it's good to remember that other people are going through this when they are traveling. I continually have awesome experiences when I find people at the condo pool from Wisconsin, and just an interaction can be a little adventure for both of us as we kind of allow each other to be out of our comfort zones and meet people out of our normal realms. And I think people who are traveling are often in that space of they're disconnected from their to-do lists. They're open to new people and new adventures. And you can be not just an ambassador, but almost like a tour. Send someone in a direction of an adventure, which feels good too.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So out in the world, if people want to get more of your guidance and advice and help, how would they do that, Betsy?
Thank you. So I am really passionate about teaching life skills for sustainable happiness and positivity. And so I have the Power Affirmation Project, which uses a prompted journal to help get in touch with limiting beliefs and reprogram our belief systems to think more positively about ourselves and about the world. And I also coach and train women one-on-one and in groups to really implement these practices. And then I also work with people individually in person and do healing work, body work, energy work, and also have been exploring now doing immersions with some wonderful people who are ready to have some life resets. So I absolutely love being a spark for all my clients, for the people that want to implement these kind of practices on a more regular basis.
Awesome. How about you, Janus?
Fantastic. I am currently endeavoring to keep my company going, which is NuWorld Nutritionals. We've created a nutritional supplement that it's a formula that I came up with to kind of help me with some issues, health issues I was dealing with, and got some really good results to the point that my friends were like, "Wow, you seem great. What are you doing differently?" And this is what I was doing differently, and that ended up turning into a business that I'm able to gratefully and happily share with the rest of the world. Offering nutritional supplements to improve your state of mind, improve focus, memory, learning, mood, things like that, and getting good results with the people of all populations, from teenagers to the elderly. And my website is nuworldnutritionals.com. That's nuworldnutritionals.com.
Awesome. And so I'm going to share a little differently today, because yesterday morning I woke up and I took my NuWorld Nutritionals, and then I did a morning live stream broadcast where someone came into the chat and said that they had just bought Betsy's book. And so that's one of the things I do is live broadcasts. And I'm so glad that I could be connected to you guys as they're happening. The other thing I do is I have a homeless outreach called First Saturdays. And next Saturday is our 13th anniversary. So for 13 years, every month, we go downtown San Diego and we have donated clothes and care packs and food. So if you're in San Diego and would like to have a really joyous gifting experience, it was inspired by Burning Man. It's we try to act as a theme camp that has stuff that we give away. At Burning Man, there's so many people giving things away that you almost have to go out with a megaphone and say, please drink some of our mojitos. But downtown in every city are people that would love a clean pair of socks. And so you get to have that same gifting experience of giving someone a little joy and feeling joy from it. So if you want to participate with me, I would love that. If you would like to support us, you can go to firstsaturdays.org and chip in some PayPal for us to buy the stuff that we need to buy. So thank you.
You're amazing. Thank you. So beautiful.
So any chance we could get an affirmation to close us out?
I would love to close this out with an affirmation. Yes, in the spirit of staying curious and shifting our perspectives and out in the world and on our travels, we can close our eyes, take a nice deep breath. The affirmation is, I am willing to stay curious on all my adventures. I am willing to stay curious on all of my adventures. I am willing to stay curious on all my adventures. It is easy for me to shift my perspective everywhere I go. It is becoming easier and easier to shift my perspective everywhere I go. It is becoming easier and easier for me to shift my perspective everywhere I go. I love my life. 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 Thank you. 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 Let's stay sparked.
Thank you,
Love
Betsy.
you guys. Love you so
Sparked.
much. Thanks for listening, everyone.
All right. Take care, people.
This is a power affirmation designed specifically to support you in using repetition to focus your thoughts in a way that will help you attract a positive experience while traveling. I am present. I am aware of my thoughts. I am aware of my body. I am well prepared. I am clear and decisive in my packing. I am organized and efficient. I feel confident that I will have everything I need on my adventure. I am well equipped with the things that help me stay well and feel great.